Welcome to On Air with Kate Butler, where we are revealing life's best kept secrets. Welcome to On Air with Kate Butler, where we are revealing life's best kept secrets. And today I have a wonderful expert guest for you. And I would love to take a minute to officially introduce Pat Allen because I want to make sure I get all of this just right. Pat Allen is a Macon, Georgia native who moved to Highlands, North Carolina 30 years ago to open a bed and breakfast inn and cooking school, later featured in Southern Living magazine. First of all, how fun and cool is that? She is a true entrepreneur, having been an interior designer, chef, and author of two cookbooks. I can't wait to dig into all of this. She is currently a real estate broker, consistently receiving awards as a top producer. Absolutely no doubt in my mind on that. Her latest book, which we are really going to get into today, is called Hurdles in a Girdle: Holding Life Together When You're Bursting at the Seams. That is such a fun title. And I will mention that book is available on Amazon.com. So you can go right now and look up the title and purchase your copy of the book. And this book was written to inspire women to move on from a bad relationship or career that's going nowhere. By doing so, they can find their joy and purpose in life. She worked closely with the Canfield Group and Jack Canfield, author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, who has also endorsed this exceptional book. Her book was released on Amazon in April of 2024 and is available online there and at barnesandnoble.com. Helping and inspiring others is Pat's goal. Pat Allen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kate. I appreciate that.
We're delighted to have you because I just love this book. I think the title is absolutely fantastic. It's just so creative and it really makes me want to know more. So I have to dig right in with, why did you decide to write this book, Pat?
Well, about 3 years ago, I had a bout with a perforated bowel, which, unbeknownst to me, was a life and death thing because it turned out to be E. coli that had spread through my body. So after I did survive it, I thought, what if I had not? What is my legacy? What do I want to leave behind? I had always been approached by women. It used to puzzle me. I could be in the grocery store and some woman would walk up and start talking to me. And it's like she's sharing her life with me, and we were strangers. And for some reason, I have been able to identify with all women who feel they can share their lives with me, talk with me. And so I thought, well, I've sort of got a PhD in life experiences. So I've jumped so many hurdles that I wanted to share it. And so I started writing my book to inspire women, because I've jumped just about every hurdle there is. From being a teenager, when you don't feel like you're pretty, or you latch on to that boyfriend who's only interested in one thing and not your heart. And then he breaks up with you and leaves you feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm not worthy. We give them that power. And that's just so wrong. And so then when you do meet someone who makes you feel pretty and alive, and this is what happened in my first marriage, I talked myself into it because he was a good man. I knew he'd be a good father. He would be a provider. He adored me. Well, that was not good for me. And I endured it 14 years until I realized I was not in love with this person. And a lot of that's revealed in the book. There's chapters on every hurdle. But I went on to meet the love of my life after 3 years of being divorced. And divorce is not really such a bad thing if you're learning to know who you are, when you're learning to love yourself. And it gave me time to spend with my children. So our bond grew. And then when I did get it right, and I will say I did have therapy for 2 years during my divorce, right before the divorce, because I tried to get my ex-husband to go. He went a few times, wouldn't talk, so it was pointless, but I loved it. I came out of that shell like I was a little budding rose, and I just blossomed. And once I learned to love me, I was open to loving another man that we couldn't have been happier. So you learn these hurdles, they are they are obstacles, if you want to look at them that way, but they're there to help you. And women who stay stuck, and that's a big point of this book, um, stuck should be a 4-letter word because it's a terrible word. The only time I like the word stuck is when Lionel Richie is singing Stuck on You. Because think about this, Kate. When you think of stuck, what comes to mind? You're stuck in the snow, the tires spin. You're stuck in the mud, you can't move. Somebody comes along to help you. So when you feel stuck in a marriage or a job, get someone to help you. There's such great counselors out there. And I will say, I did get certified with the Canfield Group so that I can address issues with women and help them feel better about themselves and learn that if they jump these hurdles, there is something better on the other side that can give them joy and fulfillment in life.
I love that analogy. I think this book is so creative, and yet so relatable. So Pat, what would you say is one's life purpose?
Well, I've learned that over the years, and it is once you have it, once you know it, then you help other people, help inspire people to live a happier life. I mean, I don't have regrets. I feel like I'm very fulfilled in everything I've done.
Amazing.
And my goal now is, well, for instance, I'm a Rotarian and I'm sponsoring a bingo night next, 2 weeks. And it's to help. All the money goes to the victims of the hurricane disaster. Western North Carolina was hit so hard. I mean, people lost everything. So I'm the big sponsor, and I'm getting donors to match my amount, and we're raising tons of money. So that's a purpose in life. You're helping others because you finally got yourself together.
Yeah.
And so it's all about helping other people.
Yeah, I love that. That's a beautiful way to illustrate that. So, Pat, what would you say makes you an expert, to talk about all of this within your book?
Well, it's because I've been through it. Even psychologists, and God love them because one helped me. But if you haven't experienced that, whether it's the loss of a job or a divorce or children who turn to drugs, which thank God mine didn't. But I have also learned, and I think this is very important, Kate, that a lot of women, because we are so motherly, stay in a bad marriage because we've had children. and you feel like, well, I can endure it for the sake of my children. Well, you aren't doing those children a favor. What you're actually doing is hurting them. You're
Mm,
making them insecure because they know children are so perceptive. They know things probably better than we do.
yeah.
So they're watching a fake marriage, if you will. They don't
Mm,
feel, they know there's not love there between the two of you. But
yeah.
of course, you smile and you go to church and you act like everything's fine. Well, when it's not fine, they know it. So then they learn to distrust you.
Mm,
Um, they learn what they're seeing is their idea of marriage.
mm,
So studies are showing many of them don't marry, or they wait many until they're much older and can try to get it together because they don't want to go through that and they
mm,
don't want to raise children in that kind of environment. The worst thing you can do is get married and expect that husband or wife to make you feel good about yourself.
mm,
That's a hefty thing to put on someone else.
mm,
You don't want to put that burden on them because the odds are it's not going to work. They
mm.
may still be out there trying to learn who they are, and then you're constantly saying, why don't you say you love me more? Why don't you bring me flowers? Why don't you do this or that?
Yep.
Until finally they say, you know what? I can't be who you need. And they walk away. So
Mm,
there you are. And if you're a single parent, uh, that you're struggling to make ends meet, I did the same thing. I didn't have money. It's almost like I jumped off of a diving board. Not I could dog paddle, but I really couldn't swim. So you struggle. But when you get to that other side and you're safe and you say, hey, I did it because I didn't have money. My phone was cut off. I so I've lived it.
mm,
And I think you'll see that in the book. I went from being a poor little girl who lived in the country, barefoot, dirt road, climb trees, tomboy, the whole thing, to where I am today, a successful businesswoman that was able to sell my firm, which blew me away. I never expected that. But so I've been through the whole process, and therefore I identify with women of low income, women of high income, does not matter. We all have a heart and a soul.
mm. Beautiful. So do you feel like this book can help someone navigate if they are trying to find their way to their joy, to their happiness, and back to themselves? Do you feel like this book will help them do that?
Absolutely. Because they're going to see that a lot of my struggles, hurdles,
Mm-hmm.
they'll identify with them.
Yeah.
They will. And a lot of them would say, I never could have done that. And I want to say, oh, yes, you can. And
Mm,
you do it. And that's my philosophy, that jumping a hurdle gives you strength that you
mm,
never knew you had. And once you gain that strength, you let go of a four-letter word, FEAR.
mm-hmm.
Fear holds us back.
Yes.
And those women, and I know some to this day, who stayed in a marriage, bad marriage, and they to this day say, gosh, Pat, I wish I'd done what you did.
Yeah.
And they never knew real joy in life. And I have,
Mm.
but I had to jump so many hurdles to get there.
And
But
this
you
is
can,
why you're doing this. This is the one of the main pillars, the foundational elements of why you're putting yourself out there and sharing this story is because you really want everyone to be
yes,
able to feel this pure joy in life that you have found. Is that correct?
absolutely. That's exactly why I did it. The
Yeah.
only reason I did it. And
Mm.
I'm going to start speaking to women's groups because I think when you see them one-on-one and they come up to you and say, oh my gosh, Pat, you really inspired me. In fact, here in Highlands, North Carolina, where I live,
Mm-hmm.
I had a young lady come up to me right after the book was published, and
Yeah.
she had read it. And she just said, Miss Pat, she said, I just want you to know I just finished your book and you really have inspired me.
Mm.
Well, she's probably in her late 20s. So she can go on and have a life and know, hey, I'm not the only one that feels this way. And I can do it. I've got courage. I've got strength.
Mm.
Pat did it. I can do it. So that's
Wow.
the
Wow.
reason.
Okay. So Pat, tell us where can we find this book? And share with us your website. And you also have a generous gift for us on your website as well. Can you talk a little bit about that for the people who are intrigued by this book?
Yes, of course you can get it on uh as you said, Amazon.com, and the reviews have been great. And
Hmm.
here's another interesting thing, Kate. I've had men stop me and say, Pat, I just want you to know I read your book and it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving it to my daughter, my granddaughters. Um, but you can get it there. You can read the reviews. You can read a couple of, well, on my website, hurdlesandagirdle.com, you can order it there. You can if you give me your email, then we'll stay in touch in case you want to have me speak. But you get 2 free chapters that I will send you, and then you decide if you do want to buy it. But I think you will definitely be inspired by this book and give it to, your mother, your grandmother, your daughters. So it's been very well received, and thank you for that.
Wow. So who wouldn't want to stay in touch with Pat, right, everyone? I mean, we're listening to Pat. We already feel like she's our best friend. We feel like we're, sitting around having a cocktail together or a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And what I love about Pat most is that she gets right to it, right? She gets right to the meat of it. She gets right to the core of it, and really opens up her heart and our soul to us, not only in this conversation that we're so lucky to be having, but you can see how this easily translates to how vulnerable she has been in her book to share with all of us to inspire us to get to that greater joy in life. So, like Pat says, I would recommend going to hurdlesandagirdle.com because you get 2 free chapters of this book, which is extremely generous. But then you also get to stay in touch with Pat, which, like I said, who wouldn't want to do that? If you have a women's group out there, if you have a conference coming up, if you are part of a online or a business community or an online community, Pat is available, like she said, to speak in a virtual setting. She is also available to speak and come to your event and speak as a keynote speaker. She also does workshop speaking because you can tell in this conversation she has a lot to offer and a lot to give. And her book is just absolutely filled with these beautiful stories and lessons that can help us through these hurdles in life. Pat, I want to thank you so much for being here today. I just love every time that I get to spend time with you and share the space with you because I truly admire you for stepping out of your comfort zone. And jumping over that hurdle to get to a life that is truly extraordinary because you are living on purpose. So I want to thank you for being you, and I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Kate, for having me. And I look so forward to meeting you in person.
And thank all of you for joining us for another episode of On Air with Kate Butler, myself, and our beautiful guest, Pat Allen, who has joined us today, where Pat has shared with us some of her best kept secrets, but you have to buy the book for the rest of them. So go ahead and grab your copy today and join us next time for our next episode. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening today. I would love to connect with you on social, and you can find me on Instagram and Facebook under Kate Butler Books. If you're interested in accessing some life-changing tools and techniques, you can grab those right off of the homepage of my website for free, and that is katebutlerbooks.com. And you can always check back here to download new episodes from our podcast right here where you listen today. Until next time, thank you for making this world a better place just by being you.